A long time ago, Sterling and I came up together in a witch family called Foxmoor. We were trained by people who were trained in the 1960s and 1970s by people who were active in the 1950s and 1960s.
Foxmoor came into being in 1977 as a daughter coven from Ravenwood in Atlanta, Georgia. Ravenwood was a descendant of a traditional New Forest coven made famous by Sybil Leek. I became involved in 1988, when I took a class on runes and found a group of like-minded people.
I met Sterling in college, and he brought me to an event in 1988. And then we realized that we were in the right place.
Yeah.
We also recently realized that we are becoming some of the older people in the community. The craft is changing as it always does, and every transition flows from the previous incarnations building and changing. Do you want to understand more and do more? Stick with us.
I've done a longer story of how I came
Do
to
it.
find people. But I feel like I've done it before. But basically, I was in Dagger here, saw somebody with runes on their weapon, and I was like, "What are those?" And they were like, "Oh, it's an alphabet, but it's more an alphabet. It's a philosophy." So they started talking to me about rune magic, so I knew I needed to know more. So I was like, I need to come to these classes. So I was insistent on it. So, I mean, I probably had like a tiniest sprinkling of reading beforehand. I'd actually read maybe the first couple of chapters of a book on high magic. Uh, so, which was fine. It was a pretty good book, actually. I mean, I remember some of the lessons to this date. I don't remember the name of the book, but there wasn't much in print in the 80s. So, um, but I thought it was pretty good. So it was just like a getting your introduction, and it was, I guess, high magic in many ways. It's very the teacher or the book and the student, and Wicca. Witchcraft, especially traditional witchcraft, is the group. So maybe a teacher in a group, or maybe you learn from a group of people. So you might have many different teachers, or but it is more of your group workings rather than an individual ceremonial magician whose work might actually be very similar to what we did as a group. So certainly a lot of touchstones of similarity there. But yeah, I was definitely drawn in. Um, but I think it had to do with the people, especially the people behind the people. So I had my teacher, and I liked my teacher. But when I met my teacher's teacher, I had a stronger affinity for that person. And that was Alexandria Foxmore, or Lady Alexandria, or we just called her Lady A. So,
Lady A.
yeah.
Her incense lives on.
It's true. It's true. I
So,
mean,
in the spirit of transferring knowledge and carrying things on,
yeah,
we thought that we would talk about lighting a candle.
yes. It's
So,
a good place to start. So,
so, oh, go ahead.
so uh, in general, when we light a candle, we're doing it with intention. So you want to think about what you're trying to achieve, even if it's a simple blessing or a candle that you may light when you're studying, or maybe it's a candle that you light when you're doing a working. So, I'd say you may want to first start with your intention. You know, what are you doing? What do you want? What do you want to achieve? So, so. Starts here.
And when you're setting up your candle and your intention, that's a special act, right? It's going to be different from just having a candle for the dinner table or casual. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Any candle can be special.
True. It's true. Well, we learned that sort of quickly as witches that the witches that we knew every candle was special. So we're like, oh, okay, this is not just a mundane candle. In fact, they had no mundane candle.
There were no, that is true.
Every candle was had a purpose and an intent. Yeah.
So those purposeful and intentional candles, did you light them with any old?
So in our tradition, we would use a taper, and sometimes it would be called a need fire. And need fire was like what I think was the most common reference was a need fire. Sometimes need flame, but need fire got used a lot. Um, elf fire is also another name, which I really like that name, but nobody tended to use it. Need fire because when you need fire or you need a flame, you would grab your taper. So that might be your most mundane candle.
Mhm.
Um, so your need fire you would typically light with a match or a lighter because you got to start somewhere, I guess. Um, I was imagining like in days of old, they may have reached into the fire and used a long stick, right? That may have been their need fire. But so it's the candle we light other candles with. So and sometimes we just call it a taper. Where's your taper candle? Is there a taper? Can I get a taper? Can I get a need fire? And we'd use that typically thin taper, but a lot of people on a budget would just use their broken candles because a lot of times in magic you don't want to use a broken candle because they're just superstitious about it. Um, so sometimes we'd take those candles and, if they were broken, we would just cut it at the break. Maybe you'd have to cut the wick at the break. And then we use those sort of broken candles, the pieces that were intact as our need fire, which was recycling. It was not being wasteful, but it was also economical if you didn't have a big budget. Um, um, and then that would be the fire that we would use to light our other candles. And each time you would light your candle, you would visualize that you want to achieve or that which you want the candle to do.
Thanks for the illuminating. So we happen to have a need fire here.
Nice.
This one has a small taper that you could use as a birthday candle.
Yeah, birthday candles are good.
Also,
And if they're birthday candles from the cake that you got from your coven, even better that you had those candles year round.
yes.
Use as your need fire.
Yep. Save and reuse.
Yeah, yeah.
So today I have a pink candle,
Nice.
and I
Is it
just put a few goodies on the bottom.
nice? Is it dressed?
Is it dressed? Of course, it's dressed.
Ah, okay.
Don't
So what is a dressed candle?
I was totally not prepared to talk about dressed candles. No, it is totally not dressed. Look at me lying on camera. But I was like, do we need it to be dressed? Because I can.
So, if we had a dressing oil, if we had a dressing oil, we would dress our candle, but need not season. So, if we didn't have candle dressing oil, if we didn't know how to dress a candle, our candle might be undressed, but we still address the needs that we wish to achieve or evoke. Um, But dressing candle, we would take a oil, like candle dressing oil, like a generic oil, blessing oil, anointing oil, or if it's a candle for love, love oil, or money drawing oil if it's a money candle. So we'd put that on the outside of the candle. So it'd be dressed. That's one way to dress a candle.
I think we're making more than one episode here.
Could be. What we know are is that our tradition tended to make things more complicated. To me, they were always made, not always, gosh, that's the wrong word. They're sometimes made more complicated than it needed to be. But I feel like it was a game of telephone where sometimes a story was told and then it would be retold, and
Mhm,
then we'll add on, oh, this is what I do.
mhm.
And then you get told a story, and then this is how I was told. This is the thing they added on, and this is the thing I added on. So sometimes you ended up with very complicated candle dressing ritual that might last longer than the candle would burning.
Wrong. Yeah.
But if you have a blessing oil, you can put it on the candle. If you don't have a blessing oil, you don't need to use a blessing oil. And some people, when a candle was scented, would consider it dressed because it's already an oil that's infused. And every tradition is going to do it a little bit differently,
That's true. That is so.
right? So if you do it in your house, you might do it a little differently each time. You might build a little ritual around the lighting of the candle, which is the essence of magic, I think, in ritual.
Essence. Mhm. Lighting the flame.
Hmm. Lighting the flame.
So, in the interest of cutting and repasting this, ask me again if this candle is dressed.
Is the candle dressed? Of
So,
course the candle's dressed. It's always dressed.
always dressed. It's never not dressed.
Right. We'd never use a naked candle.
So,
Now, I'm sure we always heard the truth 99% of the time.
there's film in this camera.
But always a lesson,
Always.
right? Always a lesson, always a story. The story was probably better because of what is the trickster? That position that the
Yeah, the fool or Loki or yeah.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Tell the truth to the king.
yeah, right. So the trickster god would maybe trick you or maybe tell you something untrue, but then there's a lesson,
Mhm.
then you would learn from it.
So
Go light it up.
I have a trusty Vic.
There you go.
Pick the color. We're going to light the need fire. This is going to drip everywhere.
Yeah, it may.
From a practical standpoint,
Yes.
this specific one, I know
Yes.
I have a box of them that I have put off using because
I think a lot of people would just let it drip on their fingers and they would just be like, better my fingers than the altar cloth.
so we have a nice flame.
Nice.
And here we have our pink candle
Nice.
for demonstration. And there we go.
Sweet.
And the need fire, we usually live in a place just off to the side in case you need it again. And
Yep.
it, what?
We
So,
would sometimes have a map of the altar and it would be on the right-hand side, but you realize after a while, this is a right-handed person. So if you are left-handed, you may want to consider putting your need fire on the left because it's sometimes more convenient.
well, welcome.
Welcome.